People often accuse me of faking my Ouija board seances, and they do so in the comments section, which can be quite interesting and intriguing, because whatever comes out when you're doing a Ouija board seance is basically whatever comes out. You have no control over it. Now, this particular one uses the spelling that came out on the talking board itself as the alleged evidence. I mean, some people say, well, the planchette should be moving all by itself, he's pushing it, little knowing that this is actually the ideomotor effects actually in effect. Alright? So therefore your fingers actually have to push the planchette, whether it is subconsciously or indeed consciously, in accordance with the way in which the planchette seems to want to go. Because of course, the idea of the planchette moving by itself, that's basically a form of analogy to say that the planchette wants to go somewhere. So you've got to be able to separate allegorical explanations or demonstrations from what you might call a hard truth claim. But of course some people can't do that because they've been watching too many movies on the Sci-Fi Channel late at night when they've been taking acid and smoking too much pot. Or drinking too much vodka, or their brains have got blown out, or they missed some basic classes in middle school science, or something along those lines. Jeepers, I mean, crikey. But this one here says, this comment says, fake, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, with the word fake in capitals, as if to emphasize the points that he's making, a claim that I'm faking this. He spelled force correctly the first time, but he misspelled it the second time, in inverted commas, F-O-R-C. And then, in capital letters, this isn't real, you guys, lol lol. Now, real is presumably the word he was trying to spell, which is spelled R-E-A-L. Okay? And you could therefore say, if spelling is the thing which demonstrates whether something is true or whether it's false, this is an incredibly false comment. You see, you can get positively criticized, in which case, say, someone is investing total belief in the Ouija board seance, or you can get negatively criticized, in which someone is coming out with not just a skeptical interpretation, but such a hard level of skepticism that there isn't actually any thought involved. Okay? So, on both sides of things, there is stupidity, real stupidity, okay? Rather than, let's just try and think about what's actually happened, and let's try and understand the science, namely the ideomotor effect, which has been understood for 1.5 centuries, 2 centuries, or thereabouts, by the scientific community. And then everything else goes down to psychology. Maybe it's something happening in the mind, maybe it's something from outside the mind. There are questions, not answers. This has been my point all the way through, but of course if someone just suddenly stumbles on a particular video, they're not necessarily going to look at the arguments, the points of view, the analysis, and the views that a person like myself might actually have about this one particular occult toy. So, once again, I am staggered by the ignorance of disbelievers, just as I have at times been staggered by the ignorance of believers. Develop a bit of objectivity, pretty please, come on.